What's good, fam? It's Mr. Kelly with Good to the Hood, talking about anything and everything that impacts the culture. And today I want to respond to a couple people that had emailed me and had put some comments on some of my other videos. And they say, why don't you do another top 10 on some other genres of music? So I'm going to do a little bit of something different, but it's kind of similar to what we got going on. I'm going to do a top 10 for top 10 Christian hip-hop artists. Okay, some of them could be male, some of them could be female. But I kind of wanted to go ahead and tackle this because I actually do listen to a lot of Christian hip-hop. And a lot of people aren't really aware. So I kind of want to go ahead and do that. So number 10, getting right into it. Number 10 is an artist named thi'sl. That's THI''SL. He's a good rapper. Check him out. He's pretty aggressive in his style. So he was actually, when I started getting into Christian hip-hop, because I heard about Christian hip-hop a long time ago, many, many years ago. But it was like really soft, really kind of corny, cheesy back then, right? And this was back in the 90s. And I'll kind of give them a quick shout out at the end of this video. But thi'sl, he's not from that era, but he's real good. Hip-hop as a whole, Christian hip-hop as a whole is really, it's really on the rise. It's just really the positive message. I mean, even if you're not Christian, you could listen to it. So anyway, number 10 is thi'sl. Number 9 is a gentleman by the name of Humble Tip. And I've actually had the honor of communicating with him via social media, Twitter, and Facebook a couple times with him. But he's a good guy too. And his music, he had, so if you remember a few years back, there was a song that Macklemore came out with. And I forget the name of it, but basically he was champion and defending the LGBTQ community. And in doing so, Macklemore kind of downed Christianity. Humble Tip responded, and I love the way that he responded because he was like, look, it's not my place to judge you. I do disagree and that kind of thing. And it was a response to Macklemore, and Humble Tip did that, and it was real classy, it was real dope. Still biblically accurate as far as I'm concerned. So that was good. So Humble Tip's number 9. Number 8 is an artist, and she's a female hip-hop artist, and her name is thi'sl. And she's dope. She's out of New York, out of the East Coast, and she's really good. She's a mother, she's a wife, she's a hip hop artist. She goes on tour, she does her thing. She's real good. Definitely out of the East Coast. She's done some collabos with Jin. If some of you guys remember him from way back in the day, freestyling on 106 in Park, was later on signed to Rough Riders, was doing secular music, and then later on went to Christian music. So she's real good. thi'sl. She's real good. And she's my number 8. My number 7 is a Hispanic guy by the name of Brian Trejo. I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right. Trejo. But he is actually real good. His music, his style is, God, who could I even compare him to? You could feel the power in his music. He tells a story. I don't know who I can think of that he really sounds like that the average person would really know that listens to hip hop. But he's real good. He comes out. He's got a couple albums come out. So Brian Trejo is my number 7. Man, I wish I could think of that song. Okay, number 6 is a gentleman out of Louisiana. His name is D1, and he's dope too. He actually, this will give you an idea of this guy's talent. D1 used to be a school teacher. Okay. When Katrina had happened, right? When Hurricane Katrina had happened, he said that at that point in time, he knew he needed to do more for his students and for his community. And that's what got him to rapping. So it wasn't even like he was really wanting to rap. So he has an old busted up Honda Accord, right? And he got signed, if I got the story correct. And the story is on YouTube, but if I have the story correct, he got signed or was in the talks with Cash Money, Birdman and all them, right? And I guess part of the whole deal was he couldn't say Jesus or really have Christian anthems, and he wanted him to tamper down on that. And he prayed on it and said that's not the direction he should go. And so he didn't. And he was like, man, I can't believe that I turned down Baby in them, right? And then a couple weeks thereafter, maybe 2 weeks if I'm not mistaken, he got signed by RCA, by RCA Records, right? And they're like, yeah, go ahead and do what you do your thing. So he got signed. I think they show when he actually opens the letter, and I think they give him a $25,000 advance or something like that. to this day, like he's doing well now. Like he's known in the Christian community, right? CHH as we would call it, right? Christian hip hop. He's known in the community, and he goes live on IG and talks to a lot of people via that way, and real down to earth guy. But he's still driving like a 1998 busted Honda Accord, where like the door don't work. Even though he could buy a better car, he says he keeps that car because it keeps him humble and keeps him grounded. So shout outs to him, young brother. I expect a lot of things from him. He's been out for a few years for sure, but I expect a lot of things from him in the future. So he was number 6. Number 5 is a gentleman by the name of Dayton. He's Puerto Rican, and he is with GOM, which is God Over Money, which happens to be the hoodie that I happen to be wearing, and that's his label. So, well, not his label, but that's the label that he's a part of. And I think since he's actually been given the opportunity to do his own thing, his own label. But Dayton is dope. And Dayton, okay, he really has let his heart out. His last album was called Hell in the Hallway. And he really outlines and talks about his divorce and how church people responded to that and how it got him close with his faith. And it's crazy. Like, it's a story, that whole album, Hell in the Hallway. The whole album is like you could picture it in your mind as he's rapping and saying this whole story. And he's dope, and his story is really crazy, man. In fact, he almost got signed by Shady Records. But again, it was one of these situations to where you go after the money or you stay true to your faith. And he's one that stayed true to his faith. Is doing big things, and has gone through a lot of trials and tribulations, bleeds his heart out in his music. I've had the opportunity actually to ask him a question or two via Facebook, and he responded like immediately. So, it's really dope when that happens. And I've seen him live in concert as well before. So that's Dayton. Dayton's my number 5. Number 4 on Christian hip hop for me is Trip Lee, and Trip Lee is with Reach Records. Yes, Reach Records, which is the label with Lecrae, right? 116. So that whole crew and that whole camp. Triple E is dope. He has a book out. He has some good music out. I know he was on the fence. He talks about it in his music, between being a pastor and being a music artist, that kind of thing. So Triple E, number 4, real dope. First album of his that I checked out was the 2020 album. It's called 2020. Not came out in the year 2020. Like, that was the album, like 2020 Clear Vision type of deal. So Triple E is dope, number 4. Number 3, kind of mentioned before, everybody knows number 3. And that's Lecrae. And Lecrae has a book that's also out, which I think I actually mentioned in one of my other videos, 5 books. I did 2 videos on 5 books that I've read each time. But anyway, Lecrae wrote a book. It was a good book. There's a strong connection between his roots being in Houston, Texas, and Denver, Colorado, which I didn't know, which I found to be pretty cool since I have kind of roots in both of those states, and that was kind of dope. His story is real crazy too. He, it wasn't like he started out being a Christian rapper or anything like that. He went through a lot of the parallels that a lot of us in the community within the culture have gone through. Whether it's street life, incarceration, lust, right? Chasing the bag, chasing girls, that whole thing. And he talks about his story. His music's pretty good. I will say in the earlier days, his music was it was blatantly obvious. Oh, this is a Christian rapper, right? He's done some collabos with some people. Ty Dolla $ign is one. There's a pretty good song that he has with him. He has his last album, I think it was all produced by Zaytoven. So good beats, good music. The message is still the same, but if you're not really conscious or aware, you may not pick up on some of the stuff. But Lecrae has quite a few albums out. Lecrae probably has, I'd venture to say, God, at least 10 albums out. He has to. So Lecrae's my number 3. Number 2, for the longest time, was my favorite. And he's still up there. Awesome dude, man. His music is really dope. And that's thi'sl. And thi'sl actually is the founder and creator of God Over Money, GOM, right? This whole movement. And he's still putting out music. He's real active on like Snapchat, real active on his Facebook. And he has a good 12 albums out. And honestly, with him, I mean, I've got, man, there might only be one album of his that I don't have, honestly. And his music is really dope. But the thing I like about thi'sl is not only is he a Christian, he obviously has Christian themes and talks about that, but he specifically has music that is just addresses issues, period. So he talks about fatherhood, right? I mean, just straight up like just being a father and being a man. He talks about being able to turn the other cheek and don't get sucked into this whole street life thing of what it is to be hard, what it is to be black, what it is to be a man, how the world judges that and ranks that. And he really speaks real directly to that. He talked. I mean, look, he came from a lifestyle that was, embedded in the streets, and the pimp game and all that, and that's just not who he is now. I really like Thi'sl too. He has a track, and maybe I'll leave the link in there. But he has a track where he went at, it's a few years ago, and he went at, basically it was a diss track, but in a loving kind of way, if you will, right? Diss track towards Jay-Z. And I mean, it was dope. I mean, the video has good visuals. It's a lot of still shots, but it just really goes along well. And so, man, after Jay-Z came out with the Black album, Thi'sl just went at him. And a lot of people said, dude, you went after a juggernaut. You'll never recoup from this. You'll never come back from this. Nobody will ever know who you are. And the dude has since signed a lot of artists, helped other artists get their own thing, like Dayton. And he's just a dope dude. So Thi'sl's, for the longest time, he was my number one. But he isn't now. And that's not to say that he's not still good. That just means the dude that, to me, superseded him, really, I can really, really relate to, and his swag is just mad dope. And number one for me then, with all that said, number one is Sevin, spelled S-E-V-I-N. He's with Hog Mob. Hog Mob, which is his label, stands for Hooked on God. Mob, ministry over business. That dude is dope. His story is tragic. He really came from the streets. He suffered the loss of a child. He suffered the loss of his brother. His testimony is in his music. It's dope. He's another one that has like a good 10 to 12 albums. I got all of them. Super dope. And I would venture to say that Sevin could go toe to toe with any secular artist. I would say Sevin, Thi'sl, and Lecrae could go toe to toe with any hip hop artist, anybody in the game. Period. I mean, just bar for bar, swag, style, beats, delivery, the whole deal. Sevin is mad dope. Definitely my favorite. And he's gutter with it. I mean, he's really gully. I mean, if you haven't heard of any of these artists, I really encourage you to maybe give them a shot, because you're gonna be surprised, man. Like, it's not yes, Jesus loves me music. Like, they go hard in the paint. Because they're speaking to real people, and it's not this holier than thou type of attitude. And I think that's what makes the music good. And I think they've evolved because they realized that it can't be just a good message. It's still music. So you still got to come with the bars. You still got to have good beats. You still got to have it where you have a good bass line where somebody's riding to it, because this is your audience, right? And so they realize that now. So that's my top 10. Sevin's definitely my number one. I've seen him. Oh, and let me mention this. I've met him a couple times. I've actually seen him live twice. Seen Thi'sl live twice. Seen Dayton before. Sevin was actually helped along. He was first brought on by Thi'sl with God Over Money, and then they kind of collabo together sometimes. But he kind of helped him get his own label type deal and everything. So big ups to all of them for sure, for kind of really taking care of each other and helping each other out, and helping each other kind of achieve each other's dreams. And I think, so I need some honorable mentions, right? These guys these 10 I've been listening to for quite a while. Some of these other individuals, I've heard of them, but I just can't put them on the same list. So honorable mention, I got 3 honorable mentions. First honorable mention is NF. NF is dope. I like him, right? He's considered to be a Christian rapper as well. From what I understand, there's a little bit of beef that Eminem had with him. I'm not really going to go into that because I'm just not real well versed into really what was going on. But NF is an honorable mention for sure. Jin, who I mentioned before, Jin, he's dope. Honorable mention. Good person, just class act all the way around. Chance the Rapper, I appreciate Chance just because it's awesome to see his growth, right? Like, he started with kind of like an acid rap type of deal, right? And then just kind of transform into this rapper that he is now. And this man that he is now. Like, people in Chicago want him to like run for mayor, and dude's like 26 or something. So big ups to him. I think the future's really going to hold a lot of big things for him, and not just in the music realm. I mean, I think Chance the Rapper has the ability and the potential to just really, dude's so young. This dude might, man, he might be president one day. I mean, he can literally run for president 40 years from now. He'd only be in his 60s. Like, that ain't no worse than the cats running right now that are in their 70s. I mean, so we'll see what happens with him. Protect Chance at all costs, for real. Back in the day, there was a guy called MC Dash, who was good friends with one of my friends in California, and I actually helped him. I was kind of a roadie with him. This is back in the 90s. I don't even know if they still do music. His name was MC Dash, which stands for Mighty Christ Diminishes All Satan Has. He's a real cool dude, this Hispanic guy. His homeboy was DOC, Dancer of Christ. And this was in the early 90s. This was back in San Jose, California. So shout out to them way back in the day. I mean, he was 19. He bought a house for his family off of Christian rap back then. Had a wife, kids, the whole deal. So hopefully if he sees this, hey, shout out to you, MC Dash, DOC. Then there was these older guys, and I had them on cassette, which I probably still have the cassette over here somewhere. PID. These two brothers, and their group was called PID, which stands for Preachers in Disguise. So I'm really dating myself, because if you know anything about those two guys, I mean, man, I first heard of them when I was like 16 or something, 15, 16, 17 years old, somewhere in there. So I mean, literally, that's like 30 years ago. So shout out to them. I don't know what they're doing. And shout out to a guy that I know that I've spoken to on a couple other videos. He's actually in some of my videos. Whenever you see that name, D Sharp, the Sharpshooter, creator and owner of Heat Incorporated, which is a Christian label local to Colorado. Heat stands for Healing, Edifying, Affirming, and Teaching. Shout out to Dennis, aka D Sharp, the Sharpshooter. For sure, I'm going to hit you up, and I expect to see you comment in the comments when you see this. We'll maybe see if I can find out some of your music that you had sent me that we played at the radio station. Maybe play that a little bit out on here. So D Sharp, definitely want to give him a shot. So look, that's my top 10 Christian hip hop artists. A couple of honorable mentions. A little bit of history on all those people. So if you haven't heard of any of that music or any of those artists, definitely give them a shot. If you haven't already, please do me a favor if you would. Go ahead and hit subscribe. Maybe hit that bell too so you know when I'm posting. I post quite a bit. Hit that like button. Hit me up in the comments. If I missed somebody or you don't necessarily agree with my list, hey, let me know. I'd like to talk about it. But for now, this is Mr. Kelly with Good to the Hood. Peace.